Well, good afternoon again. What is today's project? It's the other half of this project, the other 20-ton heat recovery unit that's only being used in heat pump mode only. We're not doing the center pipe on a 3-pipe system today, only 2. And today I'm testing out, this is just a new cheap iPhone 6s Plus, and I have it in 4K mode that I've never used before. I'm using my Lavalier lapel microphone that I have hooked up. This is a Saturday. I have my other phone turned off. No one could disturb me. I have no other calls. I'm not going to get no phone messages or emails or calls to pull me off this job, so I'm taking all the time in the world. So I actually have this camera or this phone on a tripod, something I don't usually set up, and I don't go out of my way to use a lapel microphone. So today's setup, the tank, and I have 3 oxygen tanks because one will do it, second is backup, and the second is backup for the second backup. Same with nitrogen. I have 3 nitrogen tanks. One is the one that could do the whole job, the second is backup, and the third is backup for the second in case something wrong with that backup. Everything I have, oxygen, acetylene, 3 gauges, everything I have is in triplicate. If you're on a weekend and you're going out to a job, you know the warehouses are not open on weekends, so you have to be prepared. If you're an employee getting paid by the hour, maybe you don't care. But if you are the owner, or if you're planning on going into business yourself, you better be prepared for all things. So as usual, everywhere I'm going to braze, I don't want to burn my electrical, so I have wet rags going over the electrical connectors there, so when my torch hits them, it doesn't wet them. I have the fire extinguisher, I have pressurized water and a bucket of water. All the ground, the wood, the inside the container, all the components inside have been sprayed with water. The backside and underneath has been sprayed with water. So any hot molten metal that might possibly drip down doesn't start a fire when I go away. So let's try this 4K video, and I'll braze one of these pipes. This day is Saturday, I think it's the October 30th, and I never know what day it is. Well, let's get on with the show. I don't think I've shown you, but if I would have went over to my regulators, my acetylene fell over and both my regulators are broken. You go, well, how do you know how much pressure to set it to? I wouldn't recommend anybody do this, but experience. You can see it, you can hear it, you can feel it, and with enough years, you know what your pressure is. Slightly carbonized flame, not oxidized flame. And if you don't know the difference between carbonized and oxidized flame, look it up on Google or YouTube under brazing, welding, and learn a little bit more about that. Before I start, I wet everything down one more time. My rags inside here, underneath, in the back, wires. I have a heat shield up above made out of fiberglass. I'll start out here where you can actually see me. So let's get this done first. It's not the best close-up video, but right now I'm just testing out my tripod, my my Lavalier sound system on my lapel right here. You see my shirt pocket. And if your boss ever seen you use and waste this much silver, he'll take it out of your pay. I'm my own boss. I don't care. Actually, I save all those, as you can see. Emergency. If you're ever somewhere on a weekend and you found out you ran out of silver, keep all these scraps. They could save your ass one day. So I'll explain one thing here. You want the heat to go, you want your silver to go where the heat is. And you say, then why are you heating up the pipe that is on the inside and not the pipe on the outside? Well, everybody has a little something different, but you want that pipe on the inside. There, I just touch it, and as soon as I touch it, it wets with the silver. So I could go around, and now I go and make it chase the backside. See, now the silver is running to my flame, and if you could see inside and cut a pipe open, it's doing the same thing inside too. It runs to my flame. I'm gonna have to do a close-up. There's many brazing and welding guys who do this much better than I do on YouTube and on Google and stuff like that. So if you want to know more about brazing, a good source is actually going to the manufacturers of the brazing rod. They produce some very good videos. If you look up manufacturers, Harrison or any of the big names, and you look up and look for training and look up how to braze, how to weld with their rods, they have some of the most excellent videos on giving you the basics on brazing and welding. Here I have a little tough guy here. My instructor always says, don't do that. I'm the boss. I do that. I pile up the silver. I don't care. I'm paying for it. There, let's get another one. That is long enough to keep using. So right now, what you can't see, unfortunately, and my pipe is dropping. All right, I knew that was going to happen. I didn't support my pipe. That's my fault. Yeah, go ahead and grab a hot pipe. So I did not support my pipe that I need to support. There we go. So as soon as my flame tip hit the pipe, one pipe's in the other, the one compressed over is like this. As soon as the heat got on the outer pipe, the pipe enlarged and dropped out because I forgot to put something down to hold it. Paying more attention to doing a video than doing my work. Again, a carbonizing flame. Look it up on Google or one of the YouTube channels. Let's try this again without falling. And I like to do the back, the hardest side first. That is my preference. And I just took a little glance to make sure my nitrogen is flowing. Right over there is my nitrogen, and I could see the little ball. You always want to keep your nitrogen within sight because the last thing you want to do is run out or have, yeah, turn that around backwards too. Last thing you want to do is run out or have your regulator stick or something and turn off your nitrogen while you're brazing. Come over here, what I was looking at. from my point of view, actually a little higher, but if you can see over there at my regulator, you can see the little ball bouncing around, and I keep that in sight because I always want to know right there. See that little ball bouncing up and down? That's telling me my nitrogen's always flowing. Let's get down in here. So here's my protective blanket that I had protecting so the hot heat wouldn't go up. Here's my towels that are wet, protecting all the wiring. Towels protecting more wiring. And there's a sensor back there. Your heat can go back there. That sensor is only rated, you know, for 150, 200, 300 degrees. And then you peak your sensor and you get it hot and you could destroy it or throw it out of calibration and don't even know it, and it won't set a code. It'll just feed wrong. So that's that there. And I just put this wet one on the ground down here. So any of these little hot drips, okay, this is what I'm talking about. This is what causes fires. That little bead, red hot, falls through those openings, and that could be open to downstairs. Or say this, a bead falls right there. You're finished with your job on your last brazing, say I'm finished, you walk away. Or the bead falls right there on some tar, or way up on the ledge on some wood. Smolders for hours. That night you get a call from your boss to say, hey, were you brazing upstairs? The building burnt down. So be prepared for stuff like that. They don't make it mandatory fire safety. And as you see, I'm not practicing perfect fire safety. Rubber gloves, you do not want to wear rubber gloves around a flame, especially if you're a newbie. If you handle hot metal or the flame goes over, of course I had this, but this is not leather. This is not canvas. It's not cotton. At least cotton burns, but it doesn't get hot. If you get your flame across this or something real hot and it starts to melt, it like sticks to your skin, causes some really bad burns. But a little something is better than nothing. And on that grounds, don't do as you see me do. Do as I say, wear leather. Shoes are leather. Clothes are made out of cotton, not a synthetic material. My t-shirt's cotton, my pants are cotton, because when cotton gets something red hot molten on it, or it gets a flame, yes, it burns, but it instantly goes out and it doesn't stick to you like polyester, nylon, or any of the other materials. Or you could go out of your way and buy one of those really expensive synthetic materials that are meant for welders, that are flame-proof clothes when you do that, but almost nobody does that, especially on something like this. That's it for today. This is just testing out my 4K camera, or 4K camera, my iPhone, recording in 4K, and using the lapel microphone. That's it, guys. I'll see you later.